Hey everyone, happy Friday. I love Fridays, but I also love Mondays because I'm an entrepreneur. So I don't actually get as excited on Fridays as many people do. But for me today, I'm pretty excited because it's a super nice Friday and we've had snow this week. So I'm happy to get out of the gloominess. Um, with me today is my friend Eli, who is a rock star around crowdfunding. He owns a company called MadHatter Agency, and he's been in the crowdfunding space before it was cool. I mean, before actually anyone even. So Eli, welcome. So happy you're joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So why don't you give everyone a little bit of your background? When you got started, like I said, you were really in the crowdfunding space before it was cool, before it was common knowledge. So how did you get started, and a little bit of your background even before that made you the entrepreneur that you are today?
Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur most of my life. My father's a general contractor. And, so I had this life planned out for me where I was going to go to college and become a contractor and, have this step-by-step, color by the numbers type deal. When I was a kid, I got in a bunch of trouble. So I used to steal high-end sports cars. And so all the college plans and everything got put on hold. I ended up going to the Department of Corrections at an 8-year sentence. So what I thought was joyriding turned out to be racketeering. And they really threw the book at me.
Wow. I didn't know this. Holy cow.
Yeah. So I got out and my dad said, what are you going to do with your life? He goes, you're a smart kid. You had 3 scholarship offers. You're on the honor roll, 3 sport letterman. And I was like, well, I don't know, and he's just like, well, he goes, I don't want you going back. He goes, here's $10,000. That's all the money I'm going to give you. And so I took that money, started a business. I started a residential construction company, then a commercial construction company. Then I got involved with the .com. And anyway, I just started building up. And I built up to where I was working for a big Hewlett-Packard partner. And I remember golfing, in California, and my VP sitting there, and, he's, teeing off, right? And he goes, if you keep this up, Junior, this is going to be you someday. And he said it in like a good way, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be some fat guy on the golf course. I'm going to die there. So I left that job and I started a marketing company. This is in 2008. So just a perfect time to start any company, right?
Definitely not.
Yeah. So I lived like in the poverty, like here's poverty level. And I was kind of like right about here for about 2 years. And then I started just getting contracts. I started getting involved with a bunch of nonprofits sitting on their boards because nonprofits usually have high net worth individuals who are donors, right? And so those people own businesses. So then that's how I kind of started. And then I heard about this thing called crowdfunding through this guy I met named Slava Rubin. He was the CEO of Indiegogo.
Yeah, he's a Philly guy.
Yeah. And he's awesome, right? And so I said, listen, I've been doing this a while, and I really think crowdfunding is going to be where it's at. Can you show me how to do this? So he put me in contact with some of his people internally, and actually had some folks over at Indiegogo really kind of give me the backbone of how this works. And since then, we've launched dozens and dozens and dozens of companies. We've launched international resorts in the hotel industry. And we've got a crowdfunding course that's had over close to, I think, 10,500 students globally that have gone through it.
That's awesome. First of all, you just dropped a huge nugget of wisdom about your dad gave you $10,000 and you went to start this company instead of going to college or finishing college, and you lived below poverty level. And a lot of people don't get that when you're starting a company. You really are bootstrapping every day of your life, and you learn a lot of skill sets that make you learn to budget and learn to make a dollar go as far as possible, which is really so much of what I believe was the inspiration behind the methodology of crowdfunding.
Yeah.
And crowdfunding is not as simple as people think it is. It's such a great tool, but there are a lot of things that people need to know because it's become really competitive in terms of entertainment. And it was really crazy. I did a TED Talk at Penn, which is right up the street from me. By the way, Eli is coming to us from, you're not in Denver anymore. You're in Idaho?
Idaho, yeah. So I still go back and forth to Denver, but I live both places, but I'm in Idaho at the moment.
Okay. So he's coming to us from Idaho right now. But Penn's right down the street from me, and I was doing a TED Talk. And the students every day when I be there, they were very, very stringent. Have you ever done a TED Talk yet?
No.
You should be doing one on this topic.
All right.
On the bucket list. So when they did their TED Talk, they were very, as Penn students would be, very diligent. I mean, it was like their job. And even though I've been a speaker for 20 years, they would make me be there every day with the people that have never spoke before in their lives. And I'm like, why am I here? But it was really cool because all the students in their downtime were watching crowdfunding videos on all the crowdfunding platforms as their entertainment. And I was like, what? This is crazy. Like, this is what you guys watch? And they're like, yeah, it's awesome because there's some that are hysterical. There's some that's like pure inspiration and you get ideas from. And like, this was their entertainment. And and since that moment, I talk to college students about it all the time. And it is a form of entertainment for them.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of that too has to do with, the groundwork that Shark Tank's laid, in the country, to where people are interested in what entrepreneurs do. And if you think about it, what I tell a lot of people is, I'm an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. So every day we're creating, we're building something and we're starting something new and, we're seeing things kind of take off, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't have that same experience, right? So what crowdfunding does is it really lets people who maybe don't have a creative outlet in their business or in their life really see things from the ground up and participate in it. So rather than just an e-commerce sale, like I'm going to go to jengroover.com and I'm going to buy a Butler bag or I'm going to buy one of your training courses, right? Yeah. It's, hey, I'm creating this and you get to see it in this infancy stage. You get to see it as I'm building it. You get to vote on colors. You get to do all this stuff and be a part of that process. And that window into that entrepreneur world up to this point hasn't really been done before, at least not at this scale that crowdfunding has provided.
Yeah, so you do a course because there are so many layers to it, and you can't just throw up a video and have no really strategy behind it anymore because you're truly competing with a lot of other people. I remember my girlfriend did one of my friends maybe 6 years ago, and she put a lot of effort into the strategy of her video, kind of like I would on QVC, and so much effort into what the value proposal was and all of these elements. And, you really do kind of need a tutorial in that. So can you give us some like high level, what should you be looking for and what should you be really thinking about when you're wanting to do a crowdfunding campaign?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the coolest things that I can say is right now, I mean, compared to 7 years ago when I kind of started in the crowdfunding world, we have a lot more projects under the belt in the industry, right? And so what I tell everybody to do is, hey, go online and do a feasibility study first. And what I do is I just start typing in my keywords. And so let's just say, I mean, you with the Butler bag, right? So I'm going to go to Kickstarter and type in purse, bag, handbag, clutch, all those different kind of key terms. And I'm going to find campaigns typically that have raised $100,000 or more. Okay. And I'm going to just copy and paste all those links in a spreadsheet. And then I'm going to say, how much did they raise? I'm going to put all those numbers in there. And I'm going to say, how many backers did they have? I'm going to put all those numbers there. And I'm going to say, what was the average price per pledge? I'm going to put all those numbers in there. So I know that if I have a bag and I'm going to try to charge $300 for it on Kickstarter, but I see all these other campaigns that have been successful and they're only charging $100, I better have a damn good value proposition, or I better adjust my price point to kind of meet where the market's paying right now. Right. So that's kind of step one.
That was a huge, huge amount of advice right there. I mean, just doing that alone could change one's results big time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what I also do is I look and see, how they set up their offer, right? So how they differentiated their bag or purse or clutch or whatever it is from everything else that's on the market, who wrote about them, right? So, because I create a media hit list of like who I'm going to go after right off the gate. And I say, hey, I know that you wrote about ABC bag. I want to introduce you to the Butler bag. Unlike ABC bag, it also does blank, 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 right? Okay. So it's just a lot more direct that way. And that's kind of
strategy right there.
Yeah, and that gives me like my foundational layer. I know what's out there. I know what's been done. Now I'm going to take all the best elements from each one of these, and I'm going to build that into my campaign because now I have a proven model to work from.
Awesome.
So once you have that piece done, the next thing you want to do is start defining and quantifying your audience, right? So I'm going to say, okay, who's going to buy this thing? And I'm going to basically create like a customer avatar, and I'm going to say, all right, her name's Jen Groover. You know, she's a beautiful woman. She's an entrepreneur. She's on the go. She has all this stuff going on. She needs a way to organize her life. Da 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 da. She reads these types of magazines. She reads these blogs. Da 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 da. Then I'm going to create Facebook ads specifically targeted towards that avatar, and I'll probably create 4 or 5 more avatars just like that, and then I'll test to see which one is performing the best.
So testing is a huge part, just like any email campaign. Testing is a really big part of this. So how did you learn to perfect that? I mean, testing is patience too, and it's like, where are you going to bet first? So how did you intuitively start to perfect that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's it gets easier as you do more of it, you know. So when I first did this, I was like so scared I was just going to make a mistake. You know, when you're testing, there is no. I mean, you're basically trying to make every mistake you can before you launch. So put yourself in that mindset, right? So there's no right or wrong. It's show me everything that's wrong so I can focus on what's right. So take that approach towards it. And then what I do is I assume nothing and test everything. So I'm going to just come up with every single possible scenario of customer that would buy this. And then I'm going to build an ad for each one. And when you first do this, it's kind of time consuming. It is time consuming, right? So I'll probably build 20 or 30 ads, and I'll let them run for 3 days. And then within 3 days, I'm going to know exactly who my top 2 or 3 are, right? And then I'm going to take those and I'm going to hone those down, perfect those down. And then I'm going to have my one, and that's what I'm going to take to market.
Right. Which is why it's important, I think, for somebody like me who's an entrepreneur to know what you're good at. I think it's important for us to know every aspect of everything we're doing and things that aren't our forte. So for an entrepreneur to try and do this themselves is really time consuming, which is why you align with an agency like MadHatter, because I mean, that could, 20 hours? Could take about 20 hours, right? I mean, that's a lot of hours where I'm not marketing.
Yeah, yeah, and to be fair too, so I can do Facebook ads, but my head of advertising and PR is way better than I'll ever be. I mean, it's the stuff he comes up with and the phrases and the headlines. I mean, it would just take me 2 or 3 times as long, and I'd only be half as effective. But I mean, for some of you guys or gals listening, you're bootstrapping. You can do it. It's just going to take you time. I mean, money at the end of the day is just a shortcut to how fast and at what scale you can get to market. So if you have money to invest in an agency, do it. You can do it yourself. However, it's just going to take more time to fund.
Feel about Facebook ads? I know it's a huge part of your strategy. My friend Anna was on. We were talking about digital marketing, and she said it's a tricky thing when you really break it down. If you want to invest in it, you really should learn some different strategies around it. Like you just said, your one of your business partners is much better at it than you are. So what have you found or some things to look out for as you're investing in Facebook ads?
Yeah, so don't spend all of your money. So typically what I'll do is I'll do a bunch of ads, $5 or $10. Okay, and when I'm looking for click-through rate, what's called a CTR on Facebook. So I'm looking for at least 3% of the people or more to click through. Okay, this is basically validating my are people interested enough to click? Okay. And then I want to look and see how much I'm paying, right? So because I can say, hey, I'm getting 5% click-through on this ad, but I'm click. Right, so that means there's probably a lot of people advertising in that market. But then I could find another one that said, I'm only getting a 4% click-through over here, but 10 cents a click. So I'm you have the opportunity to spend less. That's it, right? Yeah. And then so I'll start to scale those up and kind of as they put more budget behind them. And then I'm just going to see true. Once they start holding true, now we want to focus. In conversion, when people say, advertising, I don't care about Facebook. I don't care about, Instagram followers. I care about setting up for an email list, giving you money. Yeah. That's it. Right? Once you start getting bigger and start having awareness, then you want to kind of soak all that. But at the very beginning, if you're just focused, you have to see $4 or $5 or less to spend on advertising, every single. That's why I only focus.
Hey, Eli, you are saying some like super amazing stuff right now, and your internet's cutting out a little bit. So Anna and Eileen are desperate to hear what you are saying because they're like hanging on to it. So can you repeat, probably at the part where you said, I don't care about likes, I care about conversion.
Yeah, can you
a little bit. Try it again.
Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, okay, I think it's better.
Okay, cool. So what I was saying is I focus on because likes, followers with a limited ad, email address, is what's going to make it better for you. You know what? Let me get some headphones. Hold on.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Grab the headphones. Everyone hang out and wait because it is juicy information. Yep. It is definitely juicy information and we want it. Are you guys getting feedback from me too or just from Eli? Feedback and echoing. So what he's saying, I think is also very important because he's talking about metrics to be looking at in order for you to really understand if you're getting the return on your investment that you want so that you don't spend too much and go down a path too far. You can see these click-through rates and conversion. And he was saying that you should have 3% or higher in order to know that your campaign is going in the right direction or not. And he's back.
Okay. Is that better?
Way better.
Okay. All right. So yes, what I'm saying is if you have a limited ad budget, focus on conversions. And so a conversion is basically sending somebody to a landing page or a sales page. And you're either going to get somebody to give you an email address to sign up for your newsletter for a free launch, or you're going to have them give you money for a sale. So just focus on those two actions.
So just repeat one more time, just because Anna asked when you started from, if I have $10 to spend on it, I'm looking through the click-through rates to determine the metrics if it's working in the right direction. And the conversion should be at what percentage?
Well, the conversion is basically going to depend on whatever your product is. So let me give you an example.
Yep.
We just got done with the campaign, and it's a canoe, like an actual canoe.
Okay.
But it folds down into a box that they can put underneath your bed. Okay. The canoe is $1,500. So it actually takes $100 or more dollars to get one conversion because it's such a big price pool.
Okay.
So if it's something, let's say $100 or less, typically for every dollar I like to spend, I like to get at least $5 back.
Okay.
So if I'm spending $10, I want $50 in sales. Now, if you guys are in the pre-launch, letting people know what it is you're trying to collect email addresses, I like to get my email addresses for less than $3. Typically around the buck. But, if it's $3, if you're in a highly competitive market, yeah, that's fine.
Awesome. So $5 back for every dollar you're spending.
Minimum.
How long will you typically run a campaign for on average?
A crowdfunding campaign?
Yeah.
Yeah, 30 days. So I spend 2 months on the front side preparing for it, and then I follow it up with a 30-day launch.
So you're running Facebook ads the entire time you're doing a crowdfunding campaign?
Yeah, so I'll spend probably 60% of my ad budget on the front side in the pre-launch, and then I'm showing people, the ad, tell them, all about the product, and getting them and then once they sign up, I'm sending them a series of emails, and I'm saying, hi, my name's Jay Groover, here's how you can idea of the Butler bag, here's what problems it solves, we're going to be launching on this day, you're going to get it at 50% off, it's going to be so exciting, and so now I have these women that I can't wait to get this back, can't wait to get this back. Right? And then on launch day, boom, all those people that signed up ahead of time come in, they back, and then those ads, you just redirect them instead of going to a landing page to collect an email. Now they're going directly to your Kickstarter page where they can give you money.
So giving a deal is really important part of this, right?
Yeah. So think about it like this: it doesn't always have to be a deal, but it has to. put yourself in the consumer's position. Right? You just saw. Okay. Look, it's a can. Give me your email address. I'll tell you when you launch. What does the can do? Right? Hey, the first friendly can that's going to melt once you put it in the trash can or something. Okay. So what I do, a deal is you can sign up for a special discounted price when we launch. Or what I've also done is held a product in my hands like this, but it's grayed out. And then I make a statement. I say, this purse will change your life. Enter your email address to find out exactly how. And you kind of get that curiosity aspect. Like, what is this thing, right? They enter their email address, boom, we got it.
So I always say, what you're talking about is hooks, right? You're really talking about creating awesome hooks.
Yep.
And I tell people all the time, if you look at the front page of on the front cover of Us Weekly, or you look at Entertainment Tonight, they're like the masters of hooks. Like, how do you lose 10 pounds in 2 minutes, right?
Yep.
And then it's really not actually 10 pounds in 2 minutes, but there's something that at least alluded to that in their story. But I teach people to look at hooks all the time on those magazines and those shows. What would hook you? What would make you come back? And working on those hooks, I think, is so critical of content writing. I actually just put out a master list of, we're having speakers come to the Jumpstart store on Tuesday.
Yeah.
From 9:30 to 4:30, nonstop, back-to-back speakers. And I created everybody's titles of their speaking engagement. And everyone who's the speaker, who speaks all the time, came back to me and they're like, wow, I love that title. That was awesome. And I'm like, well, what title were you using? And they would tell me, and it was just so basic, and it was never a hook. And I'm like, you always need a hook. Like, in order to bring people to want to hear what you're saying, there needs to be a hook. Like, what are they getting out of it versus just a boring title, because that doesn't engage anybody. So mastering those hooks is so important. So Eileen is saying that she sells a service, Pilates, rehab, exercise, physical therapy. So she's wondering how she could get somebody to entice them enough to give them her email address.
Yeah.
She couldn't get past the can part.
Sure. So think about it like this. So let's just say, and I have six sisters. My wife does Pilates.
Awesome.
I don't do.
So he knows. He's a good customer.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, there's very few people that wake up and say, I'm going to go buy some Pilates training, or I'm going to go sign up for a Pilates class, unless they're already educated at that point where they're ready to make a decision. There's probably some layer before they got to that, right? So what I always tell people to do is focus on the benefit that your service provides.
Yep.
Right? So I do crowdfunding, and I don't advertise myself as like, hey, I do crowdfunding. Everyone's like, yes, so does everybody else. And I specialize in taking entrepreneurs with zero sales and getting into six figures and figures. People say, cool, I want that.
Wait, say that again, because I lost you for a second. I specialize in teaching people what?
I specialize in taking entrepreneurs with no sales and getting them to six figures in 90 days or less.
That's awesome.
And then they say, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Crowdfunding.
Right. Awesome. I like that hook. That's a good hook.
Yeah.
So what would you say Eileen should do for her Pilates?
So let's think about this for a second. So Pilates, more energy, weight loss, better mobility, kind of focus on one of those avatars, whether your best customers. And then, flat stomach. Summer coming up.
Yep.
Right. So how to shed 4 sizes before summer in 60 days or whatever it is. Right. And then you have like a digital download telling them how to do that, and exercises they can do that. And then at the bottom, you can have in that download that says, hey, click here, here's a 25% off to come in, try, a Pilates session on us or at a discount, etc.
Mm-hmm. So really kind of like QVC. I mean, what you're saying to me is a lot like what we learned at QVC about creating hooks, and giving a value proposition. So it's always like, what are the features and benefits? And always start with the benefit. So I wouldn't say, hey, I have this compartmentalized handbag. It's, hey, do you ever lose your keys in your purse? or miss a phone call because you can't find your phone. Well, now you don't have to. And so that's how we were always taught on QVC, and the formula is very much the same in what you're saying, which I think is really true to any sales formula. But a lot of people try and go too far in depth with all when someone pitches me a product about QVC, they'll say, well, it does. My favorite was this mirror. I was actually working with this company that had these mirrors, and they were so excited about these mirrors, and they were like, look, it's ABS plastic, and they would like hit on it, and it's a slow spring open, and it was a really cool gadgety looking mirror. And I was like, but so what? I mean, mirrors are everywhere. They're literally everywhere.
Right.
So why on earth would I want a mirror? So I wound up being the person that went on air with these mirrors. They actually got bought by the buyer, and they kept telling me the features and benefits. And I'm like, no woman cares about the ABS plastic. They don't even know what it is. They don't care about the ABS. They don't care that there's a slow spring open. They care about what they're going to do with it. So I was like, so, have you ever been in a grocery store and you run into your ex-boyfriend from high school that you haven't seen in 15 years and you have food in your teeth from lunch? And I give all these emotional connecting scenarios where people are like, oh my gosh, I need that mirror. And that mirror would sell out all the time because one of them was so little, it looks like a credit card. It was like the size of a credit card. And I was like, you just slide it in your back pocket or put it in the front part of your purse. So if you ever need to look real quickly, and because of the ABS plastic, it doesn't even look like you're looking at a mirror, which means then you look like you're just like looking at a gadget or a widget. And it was so funny that mirror would just sell out all the time, but I would never talk about the ABS plastic or the slow spring open. And so many people want to talk about those things versus like, what are you really getting out of it? So what you're saying is always stay focused on what you're getting out of it, what someone's getting out of your product or service.
Yeah, absolutely. And that principle carries through to PR too. As you start, pitching the media on your company. You know this, Jen. I mean, at the end of the day, editors don't care about what your product is. They care about if you can solve a problem for their reader. If they want to share that with the readers, and that enables them to be the hero to their readers. Like, hey, same thing. Have you ever done this, and this? Have you ever had this problem, that problem? And the reader's going, yeah. Well, now there's a way to do it better. This.
Yep. All media training across the board, just brought into the crowdfunding platform. So Anna has a startup, and she's wondering what type of startups work best with crowdfunding.
Yeah, so the best startups are product-based things, right? So if you have software, if you have a biomedical device, I mean, something like a B2B play, not really. But if you've got a gadget, a fashion accessory, anything physical, it does really good on crowdfunding. It has that potential to be really good on crowdfunding. When you start getting into software and stuff, the value proposition just eludes most people, right? If you can show somebody something and say, for $50, I'm going to give you this, it gets a lot easier. Yeah.
Look, she's in luck because hers is product-based.
Cool.
And it's an emotionally connecting product-based company too. So I would imagine that's probably one of the higher performers.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, if you think about it too, it doesn't have to be a breakthrough product. You just have to describe it in a way that people want it. So Jim Bronstein did a very, very good job of that. And he created a hooded sweatshirt. And he said, this is a 10-year hoodie because this thing's made in the U.S. It's designed to last. If it rips over the next 10 years, send it, we'll fix it. And we're going to take it. So buying this is going to stand for American-produced goods, for quality over quantity. And people watching this like, yeah, sounds good. I want this hoodie. It's $1 million budget.
Really?
$1 million.
That is crazy. How quickly? 60 days? 30 days?
30 days.
Oh, it has to always be 30 days, right?
It can be 30 to 60. So the average campaign is between 30 to 60. I always say 30 because it creates more urgency for someone to move them back. Once you start getting past 40, kind of, you got to think about it. With a 60-day campaign, that's 2 months minimum. Somebody has to wait before they get their product.
Yeah.
I'm an Amazon shopper. I'll suffer in 2 days.
Yeah, totally. Well, You know, it's funny. There's a brand called Ella. I don't know if you've watched these guys, Rise. You should watch them. They're actually really a fun case study to watch. Okay. So my daughters are turning 13 in a few weeks, and their demographic are such viral marketing audience, right? Yeah. So one of the girls that's cool in school, the influencer gets it, and then everybody gets it. And Ella focused on their audience. It saves their whole thing is it saves the elephants, which my children probably have seen an elephant once when they were 3 at a circus. But they did such an incredible job on using social media, and they went from like, I don't know the exact numbers right now, but I'm going to just say on average from like 0 to 15 million pretty quickly. And people can look it up to get the exact numbers, but it was one of those companies that just rose really quickly through utilizing social media and very little, I don't think they even have in stores. I think it's all e-com, but, okay. I waited 8 weeks for a shirt, 8 weeks for a shirt. They were so back ordered. It was crazy. And then I wound up getting a new manufacturer for my handbags and all my other product lines. And I walk into her factory. She's in the United States and she's in Florida, which is rare. Right. And I walk in and there's the Ella products everywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh, my daughters would be in heaven right now. I had all this stuff everywhere except for the t-shirts. Everything else was there but the t-shirts. So there's a lot of platforms. You know, you mentioned Slava earlier, which is Indiegogo. My good friends were the investors in that, by the way. The venture capitalists behind that company. Yeah. 76 Capital. One of the guys, Wayne, is speaking on Tuesday at the Jumpstart store. So Indiegogo, I actually, her name is escaping me, Dana Daria. Do you know Slava's partner?
Oh yeah, is it Danae?
Danae. Yeah. So Danae and I had been on MSNBC and CNBC together, and so there's Indiegogo, there's Kickstarter, there's Crowdster. How does somebody really figure out what platform to go on? And I know there's more than that, but those are, I think, the top 3 people go to.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I tell people is, and first of all, I love Indiegogo. It's easier to use than Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. And it's easier to track Facebook ads. That's just why I love it. And there's teams over there that are willing to work with you. Kickstarter, you don't get as much interaction. Okay. You know. So I always use Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Those are the only 2 platforms I use. To market those services, I use a service called Crowdster, and I'm actually their in-house crowdfunding expert. It's kind of like a DIY marketing platform to like market your crowdfunding raises. But Kickstarter has the most organic traffic. Indiegogo has second. And just to give you a comparison, Kickstarter has 6 times the organic traffic of Indiegogo, but they're both still good.
Can anyone use Crowdster? Is it easy to use? Okay. And it's easy to use?
Yeah, it's super easy to use. So, we have an agency, MadHatter agency, right? And so we charge thousands of dollars to raise people, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But you get people that say, well, I don't have that much money to spend. I got maybe $2 or $3 grand at most. So I tell them to still use Crowdster, do your press releases, do your Twitter marketing, back or direct your people that have backed similar type products, and it's just going to shortcut your path to creating a crowd. Otherwise, you got to hire an expert.
Is it like a checklist? Are people paying for like a monthly subscription?
Yeah, it's a software as a service with a monthly subscription, and you can basically buy each product separately. You can just want Twitter marketing, or if you want press releases, you can do that.
You know, it's funny, and maybe I just haven't found the company yet, but I wish that there was a digital marketing company that did that, just in general, for every small business owner. And I've yet to find it, because every digital agency that I work with, and I'm coming in contact with tons of businesses for Jumpstart, and most small businesses can't invest $5,000 a month in search engine optimization strategies, right? But the entrepreneur could get it to a point that they could, if they had that, what Crowdster seems like it's doing, they could get it to a point where they could be investing in the future that $5,000 and outsourcing it, but not in the beginning. They're not going to be able to do that. They usually are going to, if they have that $5,000, they're going to spend it on a publicist or an advisor to help them grow their company more tangibly than just hoping search engine optimization turns it around. Because if you're with a good search engine optimization person, you can have a high conversion, but some people, that's a gamble in and of itself if you don't know somebody's track record, right? So I would like to see that. Another business right there.
Totally.
There we just created another business. So Eileen asked a question, how do you get good at coming up with products? So I'm going to chime on this one for a second because what I do.
And I'm interested too.
Oh, okay, good. So coming up with products, so let's just say I had a Pilates company and I wanted to create products to express that brand further beyond just doing the classes and having that service-related brand. I love products because products sell when I'm sleeping. And not that services don't, and I could have online courses that do, or my books do, which is still a tangible product. But products express a brand further. It's a takeaway of a brand. So if I had a Pilates brand, I would be thinking to myself, what gadget or widget could I create that takes a very simple thing that I'm doing and make it easier or more tangible in someone's mind? Like those little exercise balls. First there was the big ones and then there are the little ones. The little balls were just replacing something somebody was doing as a trainer in the gym. So widgets and gadgets can actually be, even if you look at like, as a trainer, I would sometimes use a towel for helping somebody lift their neck up while doing abdominal exercises. But I could just go create a foam and sell the foam instead of using a towel. So it's really like taking your everyday things in your life and how do you make them better? How do you make them more marketable? How do you, instead of using a towel, people buy the foam things, but you could literally use a towel. But when you're suggesting to somebody, use this foam so your neck stays lifted, you don't put stress on it while you're doing abdominal exercises, it suggests them, I need this, versus most people aren't going to think, well, I could just use a towel for that. A trainer would. Right. Most people wouldn't do it. So thinking of products, I literally navigate the world as I'm looking at my table right now. And I literally think, how can I solve a problem? How can I make this product better? How could I position it differently? That's another thing. There's a lot of products that you can position differently for a different market sell completely. So like Anna just said, opportunities are all around us. They are. I would take this water bottle and say, how could I make it different in how I drink out of it? How could I change the top? And when I change the top, how could I market that it helps you digest better, or it helps you hydrate faster, and obviously you're not lying, you can't make lies up, but those are the things I go to of taking a product, making it better, but then what's the marketing strategy behind it so that you could position it differently than it's already been out there. A lot of companies, look at Zappos, right?
Right.
In 7 years, right? He didn't make shoes. As a matter of fact, I had that show. I think you remember this when I had that show Strategy Room on Fox News.
Yes.
And Tony, the founder, came on and everyone kept asking him questions about shoes. And he's like, I don't even care about shoes. I don't even like shoes. I wouldn't even have shoes on right now. I just came up with a customer service strategy that the shoes happen to be selling better. Look at Warby Parker, right? Like Warby Parker, basically he just took glasses, like everyday glasses, and made the customer service strategy better and made it more philanthropic. So you can sit and look like, how do I take anything that exists right now and make it better? Okay. Whatever it is, it's not the end all be all.
Yeah. And making it better and in the process too, right? So Tony's a really good example of just taking a process that was very time consuming for when you got to go in there, you got to try it on, it's like a ritual almost, right? And now you can just try it online. If you don't fit, send it back. There's no hassle, right? You don't have to worry, right? So just basically enables women to buy more, spend more because they have that in the back of that. to the dismay of some loved ones, but
yeah, right, exactly. Well, it's even like with the Jumpstart startup store, and we were talking about it last week. The one little thing that I changed, I hate trade shows. I think trade shows are the biggest waste of money for. Really? I do. I really have never. I've never gotten a return on investment in a trade show. At a trade show event, I have at like Toy Fair when you set up meetings earlier, but having the actual booth, I don't find it to be something that was worth the return on investment, because most people are walking past you and they don't want to engage with you. They're like even afraid to look at you, and you almost have to like lunge out after them, like, "Hey, come look at my product and my brand." And and when people are selling services, I think it's even harder because people don't know what they don't know. So if they look at MadHatter agency and they don't know what you do, they're afraid to ask, so they don't really want to engage. The majority of people there that are there aren't walking up and saying, "Tell me about MadHatter," because they're afraid you might be selling something they don't want, and then they're stuck in a conversation. So what we did, by the way, I always speak at the New York Business Expo, which is the biggest business expo in the United States. And there's thousands of vendors, and I just see the vendors standing there all the time. And I always ask them, like, how are you attracting people to come here? I mean, there's people there, but they're going to go sit in the lectures. Right. So when people walk in the Jumpstart store and we have an entrepreneur expert greeting them and asking them questions immediately, like, do you have a company already, or are you just starting one? What type of company is? Do you already have it formed? Is it an LLC? Is it sole proprietorship? And so they're starting to guide them on a path. And then as they walk up to each vendor, they're saying, okay, so do you already have internet service? Yeah, well, I actually just work out of my home. Okay, cool. So what internet provider do you use? Comcast. Oh, all right. So Comcast probably costs you about $150 to $250 a month, depending on how many boxes you have. But Comcast Business is here, and it's actually cheaper. And they're doing a bundle package for $79. And you actually get to write more off in your taxes because it's an actual outlined business service. People are like, whoa, oh my gosh. So just helping people understand before they even get up to each vendor and have a conversation, guiding them like that was such a secret sauce. It was like the game changer, where the brands were like, oh my gosh, you just sold us before they even got here. Right. I was like, that was great. That was the disruptor in this business model that's really lacking. There was the trade show model lacking performance applications to it. It needs to be rejuvenated. It needs more assets to it. And because I would watch people that will walk in the store and they would just walk in and they would get overwhelmed. And then they would walk right past everything. And I'd be like, wait, did you get everything you needed? And they're like, I think so. And I'm like, did you go see the video producers over here? Because they're actually making a reel for you today. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. So like you said, going back to Tony, I just changed that one little thing. And because of that, all of our vendors, our brand partners wanted to come back because the experience was so different for them. It was so much more engaging. I was selling them, or one of the other entrepreneurs was selling them before they even had to talk to anybody. So we could just change, just tweak a service. You could actually provide a different company.
Yeah. Well, and what you did, you probably really is you're getting that third party, right? So no one, is going to tell us, at a trade show, my partner sucks and
right.
They're going to try to sit there and figure out a way to make it, right? By having a third party kind of qualify them first and then make a recommendation just totally changes the psychological process of somebody and gets them in that mindset of, okay, now these help. They heard it from somebody else.
Totally. Well, it's like publishing versus self-publishing. When you self-publish, you can't even go on to the Today Show or any of the morning shows because the producers are thinking, well, you published it yourself. So I don't know if it's actually good or not. Right. Or at least the publisher's that third-party validation for you. Same with when you're getting media. Social media has changed the game a lot with media, but it used to be that, when you got media about your company, then it just made you more credible out of the gate. So people trusted you more. Subconsciously, people just trusted you more, which is why, by the way, I noticed you go right in the beginning of your process. What did they do? How much money did they raise? What press do they get? Now I'm going to go get that press.
Yep.
Validation.
Yep.
So I know it's Friday, and I appreciate your spending time with us. I am really grateful for it. I know that you've shared a lot of nuggets of wisdom. Eileen asked more questions about products, so I'm going to save that for a different live because I can tell Eileen is ready to like develop a product and bring it on to QVC soon.
She's on it. She's on it.
Yeah, so she's totally on it. Anna wants to know what your website is.
Yeah, so just MadHatter Agency.com. And you can email me at Eli@MadHatterAgency.com.
There you go. Direct connection. When you ask, you receive. So, what is one last nugget you will leave us with that if someone's thinking about doing a crowdfunding campaign that they should think about or do to separate them from everybody else?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you one tool. You can use this when it's crowdfunding, but it is awesome.
Okay, cool.
Okay. You'll love this tip. All right, so it's a service called Green Inbox.
Wait, we lost you. Right when you gave the nugget.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a service called Green Inbox.
Green Inbox.
Okay. Now, so what Green Inbox does. So I'll just use this as an example. How many Facebook friends would you say you have off the top of your head?
20,000 between my two sites, my two Facebook pages.
Okay, so let's just say personal.
Personal 11,000.
Okay, cool. So 11,000 friends. Okay? So that's a lot of people. Now, if you were to post an update and say, hey, this is this new project I'm doing, how many of those 11,000 do you think would see them?
How many of those 11,000 can see it?
Do you think would see that one update that you post?
I think only like 3% do it right now, right?
Right. So what Green Inbox allows you to do, you can type out a message. You can tell them what it is you're doing. Include a link. And then you hit send. And Green Inbox will go on the back end, pull all of your contacts' email addresses, and send them a direct email.
Really?
So when you're doing product launches, when you want to market the show, when you have whatever you want to tell your friends about. Yeah, I know we're connected on Facebook. I just want to make sure you got this. Sending you this right now, and it sends it to all 11,000.
That is amazing. I'm using it for Jumpstart next week.
Yeah, I mean, I use it all the time for marketing because your friends and family network are the ones that want to support you the most. You have the best relationship.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Green Inbox, everyone. That's awesome. That was worth like thousands and thousands of dollars, if not more, right there. Maybe millions, right? Thanks, Eli. I appreciate you hanging out with us this afternoon. I know Eileen and Anna have been commenting a lot. They said thank you for your genius. And so they're really grateful for all the nuggets of wisdom you shared today. So have an awesome weekend.
All right, you too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.